Hi, my name is Priscilla Mejia, and this is my video for Capstone II. Prior to switching my degree over to organizational leadership, my degree was going to be for business management. I was determined to use my degree to its full potential, so I thought that obtaining a degree in business management was the way that I wanted to go. However, I do have a full-time job that has a very unpredictable schedule. So after reviewing things, I decided organizational leadership followed in the plan with my business management courses. I'm the oldest of 3 children, and I've always been a natural born leader, or more or less a go-getter of getting things. And I've always been told that in my work as well. So I've always felt that leadership, or being a leader in the workplace, was always like a supervisor, somebody who supervised a team of people, whether that's 3 to 5, 5 to 10 individuals, and you just supervised them, made sure their work was done, you were responsible for their work, and again, like I stated, you made sure that their work was done. I never put into perspective that every different supervisor has a different style of communicating with individuals, and individuals themselves have a unique communicating style. I didn't think about or ever think about individuals needing to be addressed differently by different supervisors. So that's one of the biggest things that I've learned through my organizational leadership classes is communication. Communicating with different people, putting everybody's ideas kind of like in a melting pot, and sometimes individually working with different people's attitudes or communication styles, and as well as my own. I've learned through some of my classes that you've got to keep an open mind. You have to be empathetic, you have to be reliable, you have to set the example. I think organizational leadership is something that you can only, not that you can only, but should also be applied in your personal life, not just in a professional setting, but as well in a personal setting. So I will say organizational leadership has actually helped me in my own personal life, communicating with others, or when I meet new people, how to communicate with those new people, and use all those tools that I've learned to communicate with new people or people that I already know. As I stated before, I always felt that leadership meant that there was one person up top, and then you had other people below them. One thing with leadership that I've always felt is that you should lead by example. I've been taught this growing up, and it's always been something that I've implemented even with my own children, even at work. Lead by example. So I think organizational leadership for me helped really put that into perspective, but all the other things that come with that as well. So I'm very thankful for the classes that I've had, because where I've been working for the state of Texas for 12 years, I'm now in a position where I feel that organizational leadership has opened so many possibilities for me. I recently took a new position with the state, and I'm currently an investigator for CPS. I've always worked in the capacity for CPS, different things, as an administrative assistant, as a case aide. I've even done some specialty work behind the scenes that people don't see. But now that I'm an investigator and I've taken this position, I now find myself in a hard spot thinking, is this really where I want to use my degree? And some days are, no, I don't want to use my degrees, but the things that I've learned through organizational leadership have actually helped me work with stakeholders, parents, caregivers, I mean, you name it, just different people, and it's really helped me be able to communicate with people more effectively and be an active listener. And I am so grateful for these classes. I think organizational leadership, or some form of the classes, should actually be offered to other students. And they may already get those in those classes, I'm not too sure. But there are some really life skills you learn as well, as in other than just spreadsheets and different theories. I really enjoyed this degree, and I know that I do want to continue my education in organizational leadership, because I'm also very actively involved with Cub Scouts of America, or Boy Scouts of America, and as well as some other nonprofits that hold a place in my heart. So I think all that I've learned, I've been able to kind of implement those through my personal and my professional careers. So one of my favorite courses in organizational leadership was Issues in Organizational Leadership. As I mentioned before, I've worked for the state for about 12 years, and reading through some of those issues in organizational leadership, I was able to identify some of the issues that currently are state policies. So one of my favorite classes in organizational leadership, or one of the most interesting classes in my organizational leadership degree, was Issues in Organizational Leadership. And it helped me be able to identify some of the issues that we currently have as a state agency at the local level. I can't speak necessarily for the state level, but as far as within my particular region, and put into perspective as to some of the train of thoughts that some of the people that work for the agency have, and where we identify them in the state as having some old school ways, and they are old school ways, especially when leaders are not willing to change or to take additional training on change or implementing change without being considerate of what is currently working and not working with the department. So I really enjoyed that class. It brought to perspective a lot of things that if I were to become a supervisor with the state, which at this present moment is not in something I'm considering, how I could do things different, how I could take additional trainings, because the state actually does offer trainings for these reasons, because they have been issues that have been addressed by employees. So the state has, within the last 2 years, has taken a really big initiative in not only offering additional trainings for employees, but as well as for the supervisors and regional leaders and directors on getting to know your staff, different styles of leadership, different styles of employees, and how different individuals communicate based on location, area, and culture. So that was really important, because oftentimes we focus on the needs of those that we're serving in our communities, but we lack the understanding of working within our own agency. So one of my least favorite classes in organizational leadership was decision making. I understand how just the decision making process is important in every agency, and how it's important to write down specific goals and specific tasks. For some reason, that was not my favorite part. However, I've been able to use that in my current position as an investigator for CPS, because recently CPS launched a program to work with families as to writing down things, what is working, what is not working, and how we're going to achieve certain goals or tasks for individuals and families. So it actually came into play for me at work professionally, but at the time that I was taking the class, it made absolutely no sense, and I did struggle with that class and the understanding. I could do the work, but I really wasn't understanding why we needed to do the work and why certain things needed to be done. As I mentioned before, I've also worked for some nonprofits, so we actually did a data decision-making model for a nonprofit that I worked for a while, and so I understand. But I was, every class that I took for organizational leadership, I always try to bring it back to my current job, to what I was currently doing, and at the moment that I took this class, it did not apply anywhere, and I found it very frustrating. Another one of my favorite classes was behavior, ethics, and leadership. So again, I've worked for CPS for 12 years, and ethics is an important topic for CPS as a whole, not only because we deal with our own ethics and our own biases, we deal with ethics that have to do with families as well and their biases. And this class really taught me not only my communication skills, but my peers' communication skills, my supervisors' communication skills, and as well as the clients that we serve. Some of the different personality traits that we all hold and value were expounded on in this class. And I really did enjoy this class. So different individuals hold different standards for their work, for their personal life, as well as the things that matter to them. Most recently, as a group, we took a self-assessment as a unit, and then we took some peer evaluation. So those are pretty interesting because I have been doing these throughout my organizational leadership degree. So it was kind of interesting to see we used one of the same self-assessing tools in one of the readings that I did recently in a unit meeting. So that was kind of interesting. So in my current position, we also have to identify a lot of things that are ethical and non-ethical in regards to how we view them. So some of the things that I learned in this class have helped me be able to better use my critical thinking when working with families, and as well as work and how I speak to my peers or to my supervisor, or how things are directed, what's important to them, what's ethical to them, what's moral to them. So this one is a really great course. It's a course that with our current society, it is a really valuable course, and one that I think I'll take with me for a very long time on the things that I've learned. So leadership theory was another interesting class because it helped me understand different perspectives of different supervisors that I've had with the state. I've had some really great supervisors and some not really great supervisors, and identifying those issues of where they lacked and where I lacked as a follower underneath them was very interesting to see in writing and the data that's available with that. So that one was really interesting, and at times, I wish I would have spoken up when I did have those bad supervisors, or maybe me as a follower or a subordinate underneath them, maybe learn how to speak to them differently or deal with them differently, or maybe express to them different ways to manage or communicate with me, or issues that we were having at the time, maybe communicating those better instead of being afraid to speak to them. So I think as a follower, when you have a bad supervisor or bad management, that you have to use your voice to speak for. Otherwise, sometimes supervisors, they may or may not know that their skills or their leadership style is not effective, and they do get burned out and they get upset and they get defensive, which I think anybody else would. But if as a follower you cannot help your leader, you are not doing them justice, just like you're not doing yourself any justice. Leading change was also interesting. Again, I've worked for the state for a long time, and change is inevitable. Sometimes change is out of our control, and we don't always necessarily like it, but sometimes change is good. Change is good for the department. Change is good for different organizations. Change is good for our individual identities and at home. I mean, different ways, but changes having to do with work are very important. Otherwise, you're not growing, your company's not growing, your agency is not growing, you're not learning from your mistakes, and you get stuck in a rut of doing things what we consider the old way, the old way of doing things, and that's not very healthy. The state of Texas has often, or within the last few years, used different agencies from out of state to come in and look at some of the practices that we use, and we've actually implemented some of those practices. For example, there's a practice that we use that was actually developed in California that we use in the state of Texas. California and Texas kind of run the same way with the different, with a few with a few exceptions. So that was really helpful for us because we're able to see things not only from our perspective, but perspective of other individuals throughout the United States. It took into perspective the families that we deal with, and somehow some of our practices are actually damaging relationships with the communities, relationships with law enforcement, and even relationships within ourselves. So leading change, it's going to be a very helpful thing for me going forward. And we're always leading change. We are a society of change, a society of adapting new things. So one of the things that I've also learned is that sometimes we get stuck in a rut and sometimes things need to change. For instance, myself, I'm about to graduate and I've been working for the state for 12 years, and I'm at a point where I feel that a change needs to happen, or I'm at a position that I need to happen. I'm vested in the state. So do I take the leap of faith and get a new job, or do I stay stuck in this without trying something different because I'm not willing to change? So that's something that I'm really considering, is maybe taking that leap of faith for change and going into the corporate world and seeing how that works for me. And it's very hard. Change is very hard. So Capstone 1 and 2 were not always some of my least favorite ones. They were also some of my favorite ones once I got down into it and concentrating on what I needed to do. So when I took these two classes, it was within the time that I was changing positions, so it was really hard for me to get focused right away. But I appreciated the things that this class has made me do, because where I'm trying to lead change within my own personal goals as far as work, I'm forced to use technology. I've actually had an interview online recently, and it was one of the most nerve-wracking things because I've never done that before. However, working with the state of Texas, Texas is one of the most, as far as when it comes to CPS, is, if not the most advanced tech savvy agencies. We do everything through Skype if we can have a meeting, because we want to accommodate families, we want to accommodate our stakeholders. We use iPhones to scan documents, to take pictures, so that we can provide instant documentation to other field staff. We're mobile, we have laptops, so that we can, as an individual, go out to see a family and document instantly. We work as a team, and so we have all this technology that we use to help us better do our jobs. And I think Capstone at the very end, especially with this video, was I can tell you without having to type it down or write it down in 12-point font, double spaced lines of the things that were important to me throughout this process. I'm able to better communicate these things with you through this video, as well as writing them down. So as I stated, I got a new job, and throughout my whole college career, writing was by far not my favorite thing to do, but once I got to do it, I was pretty stoked about it. And these last 2 classes that I've taken, it's been 8 to 10 pages, or 10 to 12 pages. Well, guess what? It's helped me through my affidavit process, writing affidavits in court. I also, with taking this class, I took a legal class, a legal business class. And so all these things have helped me in my current job. And I think they will continue to help me throughout my current job. And I'm really thankful for this class because it got me through some writing experiences at work and helped me remember, okay, so I need to do this and I need to reference this and be factual and to the point. So I really enjoyed these last 2 classes with my degree. As a leader today, I don't see myself in the near future or in the future working for the department as a supervisor or upper management. Although some people say that I have it in me, I just don't see it. I think that I need to expand my horizons. As I stated, I've had other interviews and have been kind of hesitant to apply for other jobs, but I need to lead some change in my life while college is still fresh. While I'm in a position and I'm only 35 and I already have 12 years with the state, so I'm excited to see what the future holds for me. I've been able to use, again, not only what I've learned in the classroom to use it at work, but I've also used it at home. So it's been a great help. It really has been a great help. It's helped me be a better listener, a better follower, a better leader, how to make change, how to embrace change, how to just be open-minded at some things sometimes and look at it from different perspectives, and how writing down a goal or a task and setting time frames and assigning other duties to other people. I mean, organizational leadership covers all that. Where in some of my business courses earlier with A&M Commerce were very task-oriented, or I just felt they didn't expound on these things that you can use in the real world. So I'm really thankful that I changed my degree when I did. It's what worked for me. It may not work for everybody, but it's what worked for me. So thank you for everything, all the professors in A&M Commerce. Even though I didn't get to see you guys on a daily basis or at all, you guys were always open to communication. And it also helped me realize communication is not having to see somebody every day, but also seeing them and being available through email, through text, through phone. So, and I really appreciated the quick responses that I had with almost everybody at A&M Commerce. Thank you.